So it's just a few weeks ago that we test drove and reviewed the King Ranch Expedition. That was the King Ranch Max. This week we're driving the 2020 Platinum Expedition. This is the non-Max. We'll get into all of that and the differences between the two during this review. But if you didn't see that King Ranch review, we took it on a family road trip. I drove it a ton, got a lot of seat time with it, not just with me, but with the whole family. So I definitely suggest checking that video out if you haven't already. But I'm also definitely looking forward to telling you guys about this Platinum Expedition. I do think there are significant differences between what you're getting here and some things that you need to take into consideration if you're getting the Max versus the regular, or the Platinum versus the King Ranch versus other trims. So without further ado, let's get into it. All right, and all of that being said, let's talk really quickly about the different trim levels that you can get this in. You can get an XLT, you can get a Limited, you can get the King Ranch that we talked about before, and you can get the Platinum as the top trim. Now every trim has the regular size Expedition, which is still pretty big, we'll talk about that. Or you can get the Max, which is even bigger. Again, this is the regular size. The King Ranch that we had was the Max. The King Ranch was also a 4x4. This one is a 4x2. So there's a little bit difference in the drivetrain, but before we get into that, let's check out the exterior of this Platinum. All right guys, so let's start off the exterior looking at the front end. Now we do have LED headlamps with signature LED lighting. You also get the LED fog lamps. Now the lighting here is the same that you would get on the King Ranch, but it is a little bit different than that you would get on the XLT. The front grille here is the Platinum grille, which is a silver lining mesh and is a little bit different than that King Ranch grille. Obviously, Ford likes to use the grilles to distinguish these trim levels. You can also see some of the extra chrome stripping around the fog lamps, around the lower dam, and you get body colored bumpers. Moving along to the side of the Expedition, first off, you get the body colored door handles with the chrome strip through there. You get the chrome strip that goes along the belt line of the SUV. You get those power folding mirrors with the chrome cap on it. We also have chrome roof rails. So if you're not getting the picture, this does have a lot of chrome. One of the things you also get are those same power folding running boards. So whenever the door is closed, they are folded up. And when you open the door, they fold down for easy entrance. Obviously, a luxury touch. Moving along to the wheels, these are 22-inch 6-spoke painted machine-faced aluminum wheels with dark tarnish painted pockets. These are basically the standard wheels that you get with the Platinum, and I think they look really good. All right, and before we move on to the rear, let's take another look at the side of this vehicle, and let's try to compare that to the Expedition Max. And as you can see, there is a significant more space in the rear of the Max. The wheelbase of the two vehicles are the same. And as far as styling and looks go, if you don't need that extra space in the rear, I think this looks a little bit better. It's still a big and imposing vehicle, but those smaller dimensions help with the overall style. You still get that Infinity look with the curve around the back, but overall, purely for style and design, I prefer the regular, but for families and owning this thing, I would prefer the Max. All right, and finally taking a look at the rear of the vehicle. First off, you have those LED tail lamps that look really good. You have another chrome strip going across the tailgate with Expedition written on there, and of course that Platinum moniker on the rear. And the exterior color here is called Blue Metallic. It looks pretty good overall. If you're not going for a solid black or white, I think this blue looks really good on this vehicle. All right, and while we're back here, let's pop that hatch. It definitely has a kick open feature, which for whatever reason never really works with me, but you can just hit a button right there as well. And you've got that power lift gate, and it's obvious that this has a lot less room than that Max. Come a little bit closer and we'll check it out. All right, so your total cargo volume in the rear here with all the seats up is 20.9 cubic feet. To contrast that with the Max, that thing had 37.8 cubic feet. That's about 17 cubic feet difference from the max to the regular, and that's basically going to be the same with all the numbers I'm going to spit at you. So if you fold these seats down behind the second row, you're looking at 63.6 cubic feet, and with that second row folded down, you're looking at 104.6 cubic feet. And again, the max with everything folded down, you're looking at 121 cubic feet of cargo space. So again, it's significantly bigger than this one. And to put that in a little bit of perspective, if you're looking at the Volkswagen Atlas, which is a smaller vehicle than this, it has 20 cubic feet of rear cargo space. But most other three-row SUVs that aren't based on truck platforms that compete with that Atlas have around 16 or 17 cubic feet. So this is still a pretty good amount of space for normal day-to-day transportation. But if you have a large family, you plan on doing road trips and you really need to pack this thing out, that max is going to give you a better experience. So one of the other nice features here with both the Platinum and the King Ranch are these power folding seats. So with one touch of a button, you can power fold and raise the third row. And again, one touch of the button, you can drop the second row to give you maximum storage with just a touch of a button here. Now the second row is just a drop, so you have to manually go and raise those. But the third row is power raising as well. All right, and with that, let's go pop the hood and check out the engine powering this Expedition. All right, and it should come as no shock that this is the exact same power plant that powered the King Ranch. As a matter of fact, there's only one option of power plants when you're buying an Expedition, and that's the 3.5 liter EcoBoost V6 engine. And that pushes 375 horsepower, 470 foot-pounds of torque, and is matched up to a 10-speed automatic transmission. That is plenty of power to get this big beast moving, and it's plenty of power to get the max moving, even with the four-wheel drive system. And you might not expect it, but these actually have a little bit of different driving characteristics between the two. We'll talk a little bit more of that when we drive the vehicle, but first, let's get inside and check out the interior, starting with the very rear seats. All right, guys, and before we jump in those rear seats, let me quickly pitch to you TXGARAGE.com. Be sure to go check out TXGARAGE.com. A lot of great authors there, written reviews, written news, written event coverage, all really great stuff. I've got more to pitch to you, but I'll wait till the end of the video. Let's just keep on going with this review and jump in these back seats. All right, guys, so first of all, let's start off in this third row, and it is very spacious. Now, the Max versus the regular size has nothing to do really with the interior volume. It's all about the behind the third row volume. So you get basically the same amount of space inside this as you would the Max for your family, so that's good. And I'm a 6'1", full adult, and I fit back here with no issues. A little bit tight on the headroom, but I still have about a finger's worth of space, plenty of knee room, which is very surprising for any third row, and plenty of hip and shoulder room. Now, if there was 3 adults back here, it would get a little bit squished, but for 2 adults, I think it would be just fine. Now, Ford doesn't skimp you on materials and quality just because you're in the rear seats. These are still really nice seats. You also get nice cup holders. You get USB charging back here. You get a pull handle that folds up the second row to make it easy to get in and out. These seats also do recline back and recline up, and you've got buttons back here for that. You have your own vents, you have your own map light. And again, if you're looking for maximum space, you can't beat the space that you get in these Expeditions. This is pretty much just perfect. Let's move up into the second row and talk about those. All right, now we're in the second row, and again, ton of space back here. Way more leg room than pretty much anyone would need, especially if you got kids. You got your own vents again, good quality materials in the seat, very comfortable seat. This can recline. Again, you've got your own cup holders over here. You've got cup holders up here. You've got your own AC controls. You can actually even control the media from back here. You've got a 110 volt, 150 watts power outlet. You also have 2 USB charging ports. And the full panoramic sunroof that you get on this model comes all the way back here to the second row. The Platinum is also equipped with Ford's inflatable seat belts. So when they're plugged in, you can see it's a lot more chunky than a normal seat belt would be. And this has an airbag built in so that if you do have an accident, your kids are safe back here. This helps prevent the seatbelt from doing damage and helps prevent your face from smacking the seat in front of you even more. Ford has been doing this for a while, but this wasn't in the King Ranch that we had, and it is in this Platinum. All right, and with that, let's keep going. Let's move into the front seats, talk about the rest of the interior, talk about some of the tech in this thing, and then we'll take it for a drive. All right, so this is the Platinum. It's got a really nice interior. As you've seen from the rear, these are white seats. Let's get more into the exact spec of this trim first by looking at these seats. All right, so these are leather trimmed, heated and ventilated multi-contour front captain's chairs with active motion technology that can help reduce fatigue during long drives. This is the medium soft ceramic interior trimming, which is these white seats that you see. You also have the black trimming on the doors and dash with the white contrast stitching. Very nice touches here. You also have wood grain accents on the console here and a bit of brushed aluminum on some of your other trimming. Now, like I said, these seats are heated and ventilated. Really love those ventilated seats for summertime in Texas. But let's move on to some of the other amenities you get here. Like that panoramic sunroof. Now again, if you've watched some of my videos, you'll know I don't care too much for sunroofs, especially in the Texas summer. It gets very hot with sun beating through. But if you're into big sunroofs, this thing comes standard with that panoramic sunroof. Also standard on the Platinum is the B&O sound system, and it sounds pretty good. And for a bit of a sample of that audio system, let's put on a little bit of music. And again, this is going to be picked up from the lav mic, so it's not the best quality through the microphone, but I can assure you that the speakers in here are really good. Let's kick it on.
For the record, I'm done trying to make y'all comfortable. For the record, you ain't trying to grow, then it's done for you. For the record, lab on me going all the way. For the record, ain't trying to link, no time to waste. For the record, for the record.
All right, let's get back into it. So let's start off with the infotainment system here. Now this is a pretty small screen for a Platinum. Of course, we are hoping that with the 2021 Ford F-150 getting an upgrade, we will get an upgrade in the Expedition soon as well. So if you're looking for even more with the infotainment, a bigger screen, something like the one that they showed off in the F-150, you might want to wait a few years. Usually it comes pretty quickly after the F-150 update that they update the Expedition as well. But that F-150 update gave a lot of interior updates, and the screen was one of them, and I think that is needed in here as well. If you're spending upwards of $80,000 on an SUV, you want some of the newest and best tech. And tech-wise, this does have a lot of nice stuff, but it is nice to have a bigger screen. And of course, this does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and whenever I'm in these vehicles, I live off Apple CarPlay. It's just easier because you're already acquainted with it, but everything syncs pretty well on that front, so I have no big complaints with the infotainment system. And your phone can interface through a USB Type-A or USB Type-C plug, which is really nice to have that modern tech there. And if I unplug the phone from the USB Type-C port, you can see you do have a wireless charger for your phone tucked back here. Just drop it in and it will start charging the phone. Always a nice feature to have. I have the same complaint that I did with the King Ranch, that it's a little bit tight of a fit to get your hand in there to get your phone in and out. And to do so, they have this extra little rubber piece that sits down in here, and if you have this rubber piece taken out, your phone will not sit up on that wireless charger. So you have to have it in there, and then your phone will rest up there and wirelessly charge. Moving up from that, you do have all your AC controls here as physical buttons, which is nice to have, and you have that heated and ventilated seat buttons right here that we talked about earlier. Moving up from that is all your audio controls. And going up even further, you have your traction control off button, your hazard light button, your lane keeping system button, your auto start stop deactivation button, and your 360 camera button. So this does have the 360 camera, which is great for a big vehicle like this. Helps you get parked in those lines, helps you make sure that there's nothing on the outside of the vehicle. You also have a 3D radar system, so you know when you're getting close to something in front of you, even if you don't have the camera activated. And it's great that you can just push the button and see those cameras. You don't have to worry about putting the vehicle into reverse to be able to see those. But if you do hit that reverse, you can see you have the backup camera with the guidelines. So speaking of shifting gears, you do have the rotary gear shifter that will put you into gear. You do have drive modes, which include a normal, a snow and wet, a tow and haul, a sport mode, and an eco mode. You also have a little cubby for coins or whatever. You have your park controller here for parallel parking or perpendicular parking, and you have your parking sensor off button here. So like I mentioned in the intro, this is a two-wheel drive vehicle, not the four-wheel drive vehicle. In the King Ranch that was four-wheel drive, right here is where your four-wheel drive controller was. So we have this little coin rest insert. Don't know if I would ever use that, but it's there. A little bit further is your start stop button. And then over on the other side, you have controls to pop the hatch, to fold the seats. These are all your lighting controls. Way down here that you probably won't be able to see very well, you can actually change the distance of the pedals to your feet. This is your emergency park brake. And then, of course, all your window controls, door controls, and stuff normally are right here on the side. With that, let's take a quick look at the steering wheel. And first off, over here are all your controls for the driver information display. We'll touch on that in just a second. All your cruise control settings here, including radar guided cruise control with your adjustable distance. Here are some of your voice activation and phone controls here, and your volume and audio controls over here. All right, and with that, let's take a look at the driver information display. You can customize what you're looking at depending on what you're doing. That includes off-roading, towing, vehicle information, and trip and fuel economy. And this is a nice, big, bright, and clear display. I like it. I will be excited when they put a full digital cluster here. Analog gauges are cool, but full digital cluster gives you even more information. They already have one in the Mustang. They're putting one in the new F-150. They'll have one in here soon enough, I'm sure. So that's pretty nice. I also wouldn't mind it if they had a heads-up display, because those are always nice for traveling, but Ford doesn't really do those, and that's fine with me. All right, and with that, I think it's time to take this thing for a drive. We'll do that, and then we'll stop and talk about the price, and then we'll wrap this video up. All right, so let's start off talking about the fuel economy that you get with this one. This is rated at 17 miles per gallon city, 24 miles per gallon highway, with a combined of 20 miles to the gallon. Based on our numbers, we've been averaging 17.6 miles to the gallon during our full week with this thing. One of the things I saw during my King Ranch review is that out on the highway, this thing performs pretty well. I was averaging just over 20 miles to the gallon on the highway with that King Ranch Max 4x4. We didn't do a ton of highway miles in this one, but I'm sure it would do pretty well there. If you're looking for an SUV to tow with, this does have best-in-class towing numbers at 9,300 pounds of towing when equipped with the heavy-duty towing package. I didn't get the opportunity to tow with this vehicle, neither in this review or my last, but knowing the chassis that it's based on, I'm sure it would do just fine. Our vehicle is equipped with Ford Co-Pilot. That includes pre-collision assist with automatic emergency braking, a blind spot information system with cross traffic alert, auto high beam headlamps, which aren't my favorite thing, the lane keeping assist system, and that rear view camera with the 360 camera mode. So you do have the same continuously controlled dampening in this, so it is a really smooth ride. It's powerful, And I did mention earlier that the driving feel of this is a little bit different than the Max 4x4. And that probably comes down to the 4x4 system and just the extra weight. This does feel like it's a bit of a smaller vehicle, a little easier to drive. Not that the Max is hard to drive, but driving them so close together, it is interesting that this does have a little bit different of a feel. Now, like I said, we do have different drive modes. Let's put it into sport mode. And since this one does feel a little bit more sporty and nimble than the previous one, let's romp on it. And yeah, that's plenty of power from this EcoBoost V6 engine. Again, overall, I don't have anything bad to say about this vehicle. I think it's really great, especially for families. The biggest critique would be the price of it. It is a very expensive vehicle, but driving it, you can kind of see why. Based on the size, based on the tech and comfort that you get out of here, it is a really nice vehicle and probably worth that $80,000. Would I like to have a bigger infotainment screen and a heads-up display and maybe a few other nitpicks here and there? Yeah, sure, because I know they're in other vehicles. But if I'm an average consumer and I buy this vehicle for my family, I think I would be completely happy with it. So even though it is a big vehicle, it is comfortable and easy to drive for day-to-day driving. I'm never in a situation, at least here in Texas, where I feel like it's too big for the road or too big for being in the city or for a parking lot. And while that might not have always been the case with the Max, that extra little bit of room that the Max has in the back can make it a little bit more challenging to park in certain cases, but this thing I had no issues at all. The seating position is just perfect, and you can adjust the seat in so many different ways. You can adjust the steering wheel in so many different ways, and you can even adjust those pedals back and forth so you can find the perfect seating for you. And then you have memory seating, so you can lock in your position there. So if you and your wife are both driving this or whatever, you can both have your settings locked in there, which is great for families as well. If you guys think I'm missing anything or glossing over anything, please leave it down in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Expedition, and we can address that in the comments, or if there are enough comments, I always try to make a separate video on the news channel talking about issues brought up in the comments. But with that, let's find a place to pull over. We'll talk about the price and competition, and we'll wrap the video up. All right, guys, so let's quickly talk about the price and competition with this vehicle. Starting off with the base Expedition, the non-Max XLT, very base that you can get, is $52,810. The base for a Platinum is $73,935. Comparing that with the King Ranch base is $72,895. The total MSRP of this one that we're driving here with the extra options that it does have is $75,925. So as you can see, there's not a lot that was added here. Most of the stuff comes standard with the Platinum trim. So we only went from 74 to about 76,000. When we had the King Ranch, its base was 72,000, but its total MSRP was 81,000. So we definitely had to have more options there. So even though in essence it's a lower trim level than this Platinum, it actually had a higher full MSRP. Even though we didn't get too much more in that, basically the four-wheel drive and the Max make up the difference there. And finally, competition-wise, there's not a ton that competes with this. Obviously, the SUVs from GM, the Tahoe, the GMC Yukon, especially in the Denali trim, are going to compete with this. They're all around the same price. Interior size is all really close to the same. Driving-wise, those actually feel a little bit heavier on the road. Tech-wise, they're pretty similar. I actually haven't driven the newest Tahoe, but I've always liked them. I like them for big families as well, but just like this, they are really expensive. If you're looking for an SUV with a lot of size, especially in the cargo area and a pretty good stance, the Volkswagen Atlas, which I own, is a really nice choice there. Also, you can look at the new Kia Telluride or Hyundai Palisade, both really great vehicles, but they don't really directly compete with this, and they are much, much cheaper. All right, with that, let's jump out and wrap this thing up. All right, guys, well, I hope you did enjoy that video. If you did, please hit that thumbs up button. Leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you think about the Expedition Platinum, the Max versus the regular, the Platinum versus the King Ranch. Be sure to hit us up in the comments. And as always, guys, thanks for watching. All right, guys, well, if you stayed this long into the video, I really do appreciate it. I did just have a few things to pitch to you. If you don't want to hear them, go ahead and leave. This was the end of the review. This is just Texas Garage stuff. So again, TXGARAGE.com is the kind of hub, the base for all of our content. It's not just me doing these videos, it's a bunch of great authors there writing content, doing reviews, doing news, doing event coverage. I also have another channel on YouTube as well, which covers the news and events that we do in video form. So be sure to check that one out. We also do what I call quick look videos on that channel, where every time I get a new vehicle, I do, the first day that I have it, I do a quick look at it, a little bit of filming, a little bit of talking about the exact spec of the vehicle, not a full review, just quickly talking about it to get you guys' feedback on what you want to see during the full review. So if you want more input into these reviews, definitely subscribe to the TX Garage Newswire channel. Check out those quick look reviews and leave us comments there, letting us know what you're excited about, what you want to hear about more, and so forth. But with that, this is the end of the video. Thanks for sticking around this long. See you in the next one.